One of the most widely used food pigments is titanium dioxide, a powder that enhances the white color of foods and over-the-counter products, including coffee creamers, sweets, sunscreen and toothpaste. Almost 30,000 tons of the powder is used in South Africa every year. And although the raw material used to make it is found in KZN, it is not currently produced in South Africa. Nyanza Light Metals is a platform investment that is building a new chemical manufacturing and mineral beneficiation industry in Richards Bay in the KZN. The 4.5 billion rand project has been 10 years in the making and will create more than 1,000 jobs. Chimhandamba is the group CEO and talks us through how the South African government's various incentives through the Department of Trade and Industry and the KZN provincial government have assisted in bringing this huge investment to life. Donovan, very good morning. Thank you for speaking to us. It's been a decade in the making. Walk us through the process of what's transpired over the last 10 years to where we are now.
Thank you, Hugo. It's great to be here. I think 10 years ago, we stumbled into 45 million tons of titanium waste slag. So this titanium waste slag had been made by Evra's Highveld Steel. I think previously Highveld Steel was known as Anglo, was part of the Anglo stable, and they generated this waste slag as part of their steel making process. So back then in 2011, we started to think or wonder what else could we do that's transformative, in the sense that the government was starting to push through the industrial policy action plan to push mineral beneficiation and value addition projects. And we thought South Africa is naturally endowed with these minerals. I mean, it's just not titanium, it's spread across various minerals. So we then started looking at ways to do value addition and take these titanium waste slags together with ilmenite and the rutiles or the salvatable slags that are in abundance in South Africa, and take it a step further and actually make value-added products. So titanium pigment is one of them. South Africa currently exports all these base raw materials, and we import back titanium pigment. So that's what Nyanza is about. It took us 10 years to go through a rigorous process of feasibility studies, of trying to see strategically how do we locate and compete in this industry.
Now, one thing that's interesting is that South Africa exports. Talk us through the export price versus the import cost of the same product.
So if you look at titanium ilmenite as an example, I mean, the price fluctuates, but it can go as low as $100 to $110 a ton. It can be as high as $500 a ton. When you go to salvatable slag, it can be between $600 to $1,000 a ton. And that we then export at that low price, and then we import titanium dioxide pigment. Today, pigment is landing above $4,000 a ton in South Africa. So if you just look at the price differential from $120 a ton to get into $4,000 a ton, you can see that there's a whole industry of value chain that we are not participating in. So our net trade balance on titanium goods or materials is negative because we're exporting at low value and importing back at high value.
Now, making your decision and setting up in KZN, there were a number of factors to consider, including support from the KZN government. Talk us through that support structure.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of issues. I think South Africa at large, I mean, not just KZN, South Africa at large is endowed with many natural resources. So the first thing that we have in South Africa, and more so even in Africa, is that there's so many natural raw materials that are unbeneficiated. So if you look at that, we are close to raw materials that are used globally in high-value products. So that was the first thing. We had to look at a transformative project. The second thing is that we need a place where there's world-class infrastructure. So if you look into a project, logistics is very important. So the first thing was to say, do we have access to a port? Is there access to rail infrastructure? We need rail to be able to move raw materials either from Witbank, where some of our raw materials would be, down to our operations in Richards Bay. We need to be connected to the rest of the continent through rail. 70% of what we produce is for export on the continent and into international markets as well. We need the port. We bring in quite a lot of various bulk and containerized raw materials. So that became very important. The other thing is that you need utilities. So South Africa, I think though we have our own challenges, if you look at things like gas infrastructure or access to gas, we have a line that traverses the Richards Bay city where we have access to that. We also have Umhlatuze municipality that has developed and manages what we call a sea outflow line. In terms of our operation, it's a chemical operation that produces a lot of waste effluent.
Don, I'm just going to interject there because we're going to have to call this short. But finally, young people and women in particular have suffered the brunt of unemployment. Talk us through about, do you have any policies? Are you recruiting members of this category?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Hugo. I think this is very important to us. What we're building has to be managed and operated by local people. Yes, we will have instances where we have to bring in experts and special skills to assist us as we build this operation. At the heart of our design, we have what we call the ESG principles, environmental, social, and governance principles. We're very aware or conscious to issues in terms of how we manage our environment, reduce greenhouse gases. We're very aware of modern practices in terms of managing labor and staff welfare and the communities that we operate in. So that is part of the advantage that we have, that we're building a new operation that takes cognizance of such matters as well.
Donovan, we're going to have to call time on this, but appreciate your time. Thank you for coming in this morning. Donovan Chimhandamba, Nyanza Light Metals Chief Executive, and talking us through their investment in Richards Bay, KZN.